Okay, I'll call the meeting to order, and I'll notice that everybody in the planning commission is here.
Yeah.
And I'll turn it over to Jeff to talk about accessory uses.
Right.
That's our first item to talk
Yeah.
about if we want to go.
There, yeah, there's a couple of things that we are going to discuss. All right. Well, let me. Sorry. I was just at my daughter's.
No, I didn't print it off today, so you need to bring it
I
up.
got. Here we go. Sorry, I'm a little bit frazzled. So, here is what we are here to discuss, at least officially. And I wrote this agenda item very broadly, so we can talk about a couple of things, and it's good because there's a couple of other things I think we should probably talk about as well. But at the end of last meeting, Mr. Payne asked that we would open a conversation about accessory buildings, their usage, and the regulations around them. So that'll be where we start. Ms. Mrs. Libby Holdeman also brought up, we have a definition of short-term rentals. Do we need to have a definition of long-term rentals in the UDO? So as such, I wrote the agenda item to talk about Articles 4 and 9 tonight. But that's generally where we're going to go. And as I was printing this off earlier, I realized that I somehow attached the wrong Article 4. You will see the shot down, rejected amendment for the artisan rural. So
Yes.
please, that was an error on my part. I will provide a updated version for the record, but I literally found that out as I was printing it off at 3:30.
You don't want it in there then?
No, we are not doing, so leave discussion of artisan rural enterprise completely out. We're not talking about that tonight.
Okay.
Again.
Because it is in here twice. So.
Okay, so yes.
Did
So-
we actually put that in we never amended it?
No, it was rejected and it died.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
see a value in doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It was just, I grabbed the wrong copy as I was trying to, anyway, so. All right, so here's where we're at. A couple of months ago, we had a applicant come to the city, say, hey, I want to put up an accessory building. And the city's stance for a very long time has been, through at least 2 planning directors and a couple of planning or building inspectors, at least one, if not 2, that it is the intent of the code to allow lots of different types of accessory buildings in Lansing, various styles, various siding types, various materials. But we take the phrase, be constructed with materials, architectural details, and style and roof forms that are compatible with the principal structure, to mean that you can't use ag panel steel in a residential context, right? If you have a agriculturally zoned property and you've got a couple of acres and you want to put up a 30 by 40 building with ag steel on it, we're not necessarily going to say no to that. But if you are same situation except the zoning is different, we're going to say, hey, look, this is not exactly correct. Like you want to put up a large building on your property and you have a house and it's not 40 acres. We're going to say something to the effect of, no, you can't do ag panel, right? If there's a legitimate agricultural use on the property, that's one thing. But if there's not, we say no, and we have said no, and we have said no multiple times. It's probably a monthly thing. Now, the applicant came in and read this and pushed back and found some gray area to work in. And so we wanted to, it was brought up to me by Mr. Payne that maybe we needed to address this and clean it up so that there is less of a gray area sometimes gray areas are good, and we're never going to get rid of all of the gray areas in the UDO because we won't be able to address every single issue, parcel, applicant that potentially comes in. And that is kind of, so that's where we started with this in relation to the requirements for detached buildings that are accessory buildings to a pre-existing, specifically residential use.
Can you share with us the case that you're specifically talking about?
Of course you can.
Sure. Yep. It's
Well, he don't even have his driveway paved. He's out of regulation right there. No, sorry, it's fact.
Yeah, we did. So here's the case. Here's the BZA agenda item from May 19th.
It's not very far.
So this is an administrative appeal. The property is R2, 7.5 acres. The applicant came in and requested ag steel. And so the question before the Board of Zoning Appeals was this: did staff err when staff issued a written statement that the standard steel panel, commonly referred to as agricultural or ag panel, cannot be used as an exterior finish for an accessory structure on a lot that does not use standard steel panel as the primary material on the primary structure?
What's an ag steel panel look like? What is that?
That's an excellent question. I will
Like a
show you.
machine shed?
Corrugated metal.
It's so
Yeah,
Colored
okay.
steel.
let me be very clear here. I am ambivalent to what you put on your house or your accessory structure in terms of the material. It can be metal. It can be. I'm not. It could be stucco. It could be wood. Okay, so let me walk that back. I'm not ambivalent. If you try to put plywood on your house, there's gonna be issues, right? But we're not talking about something like that. We're talking about this. Okay.
That would have to be in the building code, planning commission.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I have tonight, especially. I'm going to rabbit trail, and I apologize. I will try to bring it back to what we need to talk about. Okay, so here's the profile of the different types. Okay, this is ag panel. Okay, you will drive around the county. You will see hundreds, if not thousands, of buildings that look like this with this.
There's even houses that use this.
Sure, even houses, barn dominiums. Yep, all
All
the
the
time.
time.
Okay, in the county. This is what was proposed to go on the accessory structure. Again,
Was it
The-
colored?
Yes.
yes,
If you get the pictures of the building, it's a very
Yep.
nice looking building.
right. There is, so scrolling down. This is here. Well, you guys have the screens in front of you. Let me know if you can see the screen.
It's just like that.
Yeah, something like that. We have told other people, again, ag steel isn't allowed because it doesn't fit the character of the neighborhood. It doesn't fit the character of the home. The applicant came in and made the case to the BZA. The BZA said that staff did err, and he presented because of the case that he presented, and so here we are.
Josh, can you go to the regulation that was under question so we can discuss why the BZA found you in error?
Sure. So
It's the last sentence right there that
Yeah.
says, any accessory building larger than 120 square feet, not meeting the criteria above, shall meet the setback requirements for the principal structure.
Yep. And that made it confusing, and therefore you guys had to rule in favor
So
of
that is an exception to everything that came before.
everything, any of those requirements.
Yeah.
now,
And his property was such. It was a
Right.
very unique situation, which that property was very large, and it afforded him to be able to meet all the requirements minus that.
right.
So that sentence is what caused the problem. So if we want to strike, if our position is we don't want ag steel inside the city limits, that's fine. Then we either state it or we take that sentence out of it so that there's no longer any wiggle room.
I don't see how that sentence does us any good. The other criteria if they can't meet them, then it shouldn't be issued. It's not unreasonable that it has to be behind the front setback and so forth.
Right.
I guess that, then again, it could be a BZA variance if it was something unique about the property that created that.
Sure.
But it seems to me like we ought to just strike that sentence.
Okay.
If we all agree that we don't want steel ag panel in the city limits,
It
we should
doesn't,
strike that paragraph.
that doesn't.
No, but everything before that does. It says we're not gonna be.
Well,
using-
unless it's compatible with the house, that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if somehow you can make the argument that it's compatible with the
signs,
house,
too.
I'm willing to listen to that argument, and so is our building inspector.
And-
And my office would continue that even past this building
And
if we
that's,
needed
and
to.
I think that's the second piece, is compatible does not mean the exact same.
Correct. We
But
allow,
there was discussion about it being the exact same.
right.
So we
We,
really do need to kind of pin down that part of it too.
Sure.
What does compatible mean? Because when you look at his house and you look at the building he presented his proposal, unless you went up and banged on it, you don't know the difference from a distance.
What was the siding
It's
on
a
his house?
very nice building.
What was on his house?
He's
board,
got.
he's got board and batten siding,
Board and
which,
batten.
which is,
Well, if we're gonna talk about this further also, this proposal was for a tin roof or metal roof, and should we require that detached structures have similar roofs?
roof forms, maybe not materials.
Yeah.
There's a,
Of course, steel roofs are allowed on houses.
correct, steel roofs are allowed on houses, steel roofs fit in with the neighborhood, and I would argue that if you're putting a steel roof or a metal roof on your accessory structure, that is not incompatible with an asphalt shingle roof on your house, right? We allow metal structures larger than 120 square feet already, right? So we're not saying you have to go out and you have to use smart siding or hardy board or anything like that to match exactly what is currently standing on your house. In your,
So one of the examples that was given, if I have a brick home,
right.
do I have to build a brick building?
No. No. The answer is no.
So there's the difference between compatible, because there was a lot of discussion on the compatible hung a lot of people up.
Right.
Between, people couldn't figure out between compatible and exact.
Right.
I'm having a difficult time. Maybe it's me.
No,
You just gave an example of a brick versus wood, brick versus whatever.
yeah.
What is wrong with this corrugated metal? Is it so thin in its lifespan?
No, it's good stuff.
No, and we're not here to criticize. We're
I know
we're-
that.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I grew up on a farm. I understand.
right, and nobody is questioning the legitimacy or of it as a
Why are we challenging this?
yeah. What?
I don't understand why we're saying that we're segregating this metal out.
Well, I think if you, in Leavenworth, you'll find some small lots with a garage that's made out of that
Oh,
material, and
yes.
it looks bad.
Oh, I've seen it where it looks really good too.
Well, it could, I suppose. but
Go
it-
to 20th Street almost all the way to the end. There's one that they put up there that was, yeah. Well, so we're going for looks, correct?
Well, aesthetics is part of zoning.
Yeah,
certainly.
Yeah.
aesthetics is
Certainly.
part of
And,
is
you
part
know,
of
quality of the
zoning.
neighborhood, that's all
Um,
part of it.
the and this is where the conversation needs to happen amongst like the standing interpretation of this paragraph for I believe since at least this ordinance was first written in 2019 and adopted in 2019, 2020, has been that the first sentence of paragraph D prohibits ag panel steel to be used on residential lots in residential neighborhoods, areas, but does not preclude it from use other places, right? Can't use it in commercial, but there's another specific commercial standard that would prohibit it in business districts, right? But in ag districts,
When we approved Main Street to put in their new building behind their existing building where they're putting a paint booth or something in there, isn't that corrugated steel?
It looks like.
Isn't that what it is?
Looks like it.
Steel of
Probably.
some type.
So,
That's an excellent question.
I mean, it looks
I-
fine.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, so I'm not gonna spitball here.
But
And
Actually,
if it is, I would say, then that was allowed in error,
so-
and not if they got well. No, I would argue that it is in error. Maybe not for this one because this paragraph doesn't, but there is specific. There's specific regulations in Article 5 that cover commercial
And
requirements for facades and materials used.
Okay.
So
I think-
that's an excellent question, though, to ask.
I
So
think the
will-
planning commission talked about it specifically.
We did.
Because the existing building, and then we thought the addition ought to be
Wanted
the
it to
same.
match.
Yeah, so whether we granted an exception through our site plan approval, but we did note that.
Yeah,
we
So
they were
I don't
going
think
to
it's
add to the
illegal.
old building is what they were going to do.
yes.
And then they ended up, once we granted them that
Variance,
distance to
yeah.
the variance, then they turned around and they built an entire new building.
Oh, they did?
yes, they did.
Yes, they did. I don't know who approved it. And it's
No, I
okay
have no
from my
idea either.
perspective.
I
I
found that
drove
really
by it, it looked
interesting.
good.
It looks fine.
It looks fine.
Yeah,
But
but it's, yeah, they did.
after we approved, and I said, well, why? But
Maybe
Really
it was
interesting.
I don't want to be a stinker about it because I think it looks better.
Yeah.
And it's a bigger building, it's whatever they
Oh, sure.
wanted then.
Yeah.
But in reference to this, there are so many companies that are building nice-looking buildings, whether it's Morton, whether it's Wick, whether it's this company, whether it's, there's a whole bunch of them. And the steel that's on them has gotten so much better over the years. Number one, it doesn't fade like it used to. Now, if somebody was wanting to go in and build an ag building and put the old ribbed tin siding on the side of it that usually, used to be on the top of the barns and fell off and it'd be, down your pasture after a windstorm. Yeah, we don't want that.
No,
But if you have a company that's coming in here and they're building a quality building that is colored steel
I
and
gotta
it
define that.
looks,
How are we gonna know if it's a quality one as opposed to the 3 stages of tin buildings? We wrote a thesis.
you do it
about
enough
that.
information.
well, I mean, if you have a major company that's building it, then they're quality.
Yeah, Morton is a
Are
good
we
one.
gonna put in the ordinance?
I don't think you can put that in the
No, you
ordinance
could say
because there's so
Morton
many
Light,
of them.
maybe.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is,
But
we can't, it's not black and white, obviously. But we shouldn't penalize somebody for wanting to put up a good quality structure just because it's metal.
Is this building up yet? So that we can go look at it?
No.
No,
I'm going to take it to the next step.
Okay.
Because I'm kind of opening up Pandora's box. What happens if somebody comes in and they have these lots that we've approved? Would they be allowed to put these small metal buildings as houses? I mean, where do we
you're
draw the
talking
line?
about tiny
Or do we draw-
houses,
It
like
could
tiny
be a tiny
houses?
house.
No, just barn dominiums.
No, but yeah, that's exactly right.
Condominiums.
Yeah,
Tiny
barndominiums, but they're
houses,
small,
too.
tiny ones, and they're perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But is that what we want in our city?
It's different residential
Well,
and
this is how it all ties together.
Right.
maybe we should have an acreage requirement.
Yeah,
We'll go
because
down
you're
that.
not
If
gonna be able to
If
see
you're
that
my
building.
neighbor and you have an 1.5 acre lot just right next to us, or we're surrounded by us, maybe that's gonna be more objectionable than it is out on, on what's Mount Olivet Road, where there's 10-acre lots, and there are buildings that are 10. They may be zoned agriculture,
Right.
but maybe there should be a lot size that we are less restrictive or something.
I don't know.
Because one thing, the citizen argues, I have tractors and stuff, I need that building. Or maybe they have horses if they have 4 or 5 acres, I don't see that as objectionable, but, I mean, if one of my neighbors put up a accessory garage made out of that, I think the neighborhood would go ballistic.
Really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it
Well, to have
would
an
look
HO
appropriate
an
in a
HOA
neighborhood.
guy.
It would be illegal
would
anyway,
be,
but say,
yes.
well, for example, since we're talking about this, Josh could issue a building permit on the corner lot in my house for a threeplex, which would be in violation of the HOA, but
Yeah.
it's zoned right.
Yeah.
What kind
multifamily.
of position does that put him into if we don't start looking at HOAs? Because
Well, I agree.
you think he would not
Only.
get tarred and feathered if he did that? I mean, he would certainly advise them, you're gonna be in trouble, you know?
Well, we had that incident
Listen,
of that tiny house up there on the
Well,
corner on West Mary.
Okay, yeah,
Because they had plenty of acreage to
It
put
it
that
wasn't
tiny
10,
house on.
and it was over top of a septic field.
So, Josh, you said that for several years now, the interpretation has been
Yep.
that ag panel wasn't being used. Is there some place in the regulation, where did we interpret that from in the regulation?
that paragraph, E,
Where-
letter E.
Just
In letter B?
On E,
E,
Letter E.
echo,
Yes,
echo.
How does letter E get you to ag panels not allowed?
Be constructed with materials, it's the architectural detail and style
Okay, was that?
that are compatible with the principal style. And so with your traditional house development over the past 20, 30 years, we've said, so in a house that is typically constructed in Lansing,
Uh-huh.
it's been the interpretation of this office that ag panel steel doesn't
I
fit.
understand that part.
The architectural
I'm trying to figure out
details.
How you got there from those two sentences.
It's the architectural details and style. It doesn't match, it's not
Okay,
constructed with compatible architectural detail and style.
So now I'm gonna go back to, I have a brick house.
Sure.
Do I have to build a brick building?
No,
Okay, why not? Because that
because
that
that
is
gets
counter
in,
to that.
that gets into not only the architectural detail and style of the house itself, but also the neighborhood and the context in which that is
That's not what's-
constructed.
That's not what's contained in there. That's what I'm getting at is I understand we got an interpretation. We've been working off an interpretation.
Sure.
But the way we've written our rules, that's an that is an interpretation of some people that is not codified in the regulations.
Well, then,
Sure.
then we need, if we want to prohibit, rather than putting Josh into a hard place.
That's why I'm trying to do this, is because I don't want Josh to be
Yeah,
hard spot.
then
They
we
shouldn't
should
be- they
decide,
shouldn't be
we
picking
should,
winners and losers.
yeah,
But they just
we should
apply
decide
the
whether
rules.
it's allowed or not allowed.
Right.
Yeah.
So the question is I think the first piece is, what is our position on ag panel in residential
It's-
neighborhoods? I think that's the first question. If the answer is none, then we strike the last sentence and we take it out. So we don't have that piece to be played with. And we strengthen a little bit of the first sentence in paragraph, or the first sentence in E, to further delineate what comparable means.
By doing that, though, we're limited. And I would think there should be a good reason why we're limited.
Yep, and
And what is that good reason?
I agree, or
What is that good
we agree that, or we say, yes, it should be allowed, okay, under what conditions should it be allowed?
We limit to a lot of things. That's what zoning's all about.
Right.
That's what it is.
And I'm okay with limiting, but if you're gonna limit it because we just don't like these panels, I won't vote for it, but I'm happy if everybody else wants to go with it.
Well, we might feel, I'm not saying how I feel, but we might say that we don't believe it's compatible, that it's not compatible but with something else, but just not compatible in a
No.
residential neighborhood.
or just use the word compatible.
They did,
If it
they
is-
used compatible there, that's what it
If it
says.
is compatible, and leave that.
So, but right now, people are interpreting compatible, mean ag panel can't be used.
Well, the
Now, I will
staff, we
say,
haven't.
I can tell you that the building, they brought pictures in, they brought pictures of the house, they brought pictures of the building. From the street, you will not be able to tell the difference between the house and the building.
From the street, you can't even see it.
Well, no,
Well, which
second point.
just
But
which
even-
is significant.
Yes,
Yeah, that should be
but
considered.
even if,
That
but
should
even
be a
if you, could see it from the street, you will not be able to tell much of a difference. Now, he went with a high-end building, it's a very nice building. I would
garage
would
doors
love to have.
compatible.
Not, yeah,
Isn't this
but
kind of an exception since it's on.
This
that
is
large-
very much an exception.
Since it's on that large. of-
however, yes, and this is public record, like, there is now more, there will be other people who understand, have heard about this case or whatever, and say, hey, look, he got it. Why can't we? Right? And so I appreciate Mr. Payne's desire to try to help staff.
Yeah, the option that would have prevented that from taking place was taken away from us during that meeting.
And-
It's water on the bridge, we can't go back and relitigate it.
Right. Yeah, it's we can talk about that offline. Mr. Payne has opinions on that, and that's fine.
Yeah, I was trying to help you, brother.
I know.
I was just
Okay.
I was trying to help you.
I know.
Trying to help
I
you
know.
on that.
I-
If you'd have
I have-
tabled it to the next
I-
meeting and you all have done it
I
full variance the next day,
appreciate
no
the
one
effort.
sound if you have known about it, you get it out resolved. It's okay.
Yep. So, yes, an exception, but exceptions will get utilized by other people.
Yes.
Right? And so, again, this is one of the most popular questions that staff gets asked. If it happens any less than 5 times a month, I would be surprised.
Could you do something that, to the effect of, these buildings need to be of durability and aesthetically similar? Or
Okay, but
something,
what's
that there's
aesthetically
judgment
similar?
here, and if you don't agree with them, I guess it goes to the Board of Zoning Appeals, but I don't know, I prefer some flexibility. We are human.
As do I. But once we get into aesthetics, that's
That's a tricky thing.
and we can regulate aesthetics. But if we're going to regulate aesthetics, let's regulate aesthetics, right? I'm not saying that we should, to be clear. But if we're going to regulate aesthetics, we need to actually, and that's what the commercial design standards do in Article 5. It lays out, hey, this is what you can do. Here's your glass requirements, those type of things. And we could do that. I don't think we should. I want to make it easier to build houses in Lansing.
I agree.
Property maintenance standards does that too, to some extent.
To-
That's an ordinance. So
To a certain extent, yes. So,
if we think that eggs panels should be allowed or not allowed, or allowed in larger lots or whatever, we still have to get rid of that paragraph, because the 120 square foot rule, it says that you don't have to meet any of those criteria.
Right.
So that,
well,
Yeah.
yes, you have to meet the, you have to, yeah.
yeah,
you
that
have-
sentence has to go away. And then if you add something else, that's fine, but
So if, let's walk, there's been a couple of times we've made regulation changes that I have not considered secondary and tertiary effects. So what would be the secondary effect of removing that? I don't necessarily disagree that I think that sentence should probably go away. But by doing that, this is the Chesterton fence argument. Why is it there? Why is that fence there?
Tell me why.
So if it's far enough from the
It's
street.
3E or
Yes,
E above?
yeah,
3E.
no, 3E. So let me highlight it.
Thank you, finally. For us with vision.
Okay, so that sentence is the sentence that has been proposed. Needs to potentially be removed. So that is the second clause of second sentence of paragraph E.
That can stay, just get rid of that.
since if we're gonna, you mentioned D, that no larger than 30% of the backyard, that could be significantly larger than a house in a residential neighborhood.
Yeah, we've
Correct.
got one of those already.
Yeah, I would think again, maybe we do that on acreage if it's, I would think that it should be a foot smaller than the house, unless you're on 2 or 3 or 4 acres or something. It doesn't seem like, what, 1,200
But
square
it
foot
says.
house.
That's an
limited
interesting.
to 30% of the
I
required
agree,
rear
huh?
yard,
Right.
not the actual rear yard.
If you remove that last
I don't
sentence.
know what's required.
What does it do?
I don't see
Makes
the
it more
side.
flexible, I think. I think we have more flexibility.
If you
And
get rid of that
flexibility
sentence.
can be good until somebody comes in and, what we don't want is to put up a structure that isn't, well, from my viewpoint, it has to be durable, at least durable to the normal housing codes that we have.
Should last as long as the house.
Absolutely. You don't want to go to Costco and buy a whatever and just put it there, and in 10 years, it's dilapidated.
Yeah, because the 120 square foot ones are not durable.
Well, that's right, but you can buy them for $500 at Costco. They're plastic. I don't know. I don't know why that's there now.
Yeah, what would be
Must have been a
the
reason.
secondary effect if we took that sentence out? Can you think of any?
See what that
So
has
do
to
you
do with
think
that.
this was put in here so that people could have their little shed to put their lawnmower in their backyard? You know, you used to be able to go to Sears or wherever and buy a little tin shed
And you can
that
still,
you'd move in
yeah,
because
there,
this
and
is-
they
You-
look like crap.
Buildings
They're
bigger than
plastic.
100.
right.
Yeah,
You,
120 square feet.
But
This is only bigger than 120.
right. So technically, anything under 120 square feet is not permitted. My office doesn't review that.
they can put whatever they want in as long as it's under that.
Yep.
To a certain extent, we
mean,
we have
it's
one.
still-
We have you can put up an ADU in your backyard, and you can put up an accessory structure. And that's it. That's it, with the exception of ag.
Well, it's
With the exception
120 square foot ones
of
still have setback requirements, so you
right.
can't put them in your front yard.
Right. Yeah. So what that could allow is that if it doesn't meet that criteria, it shall meet the setback requirements, which means you could kind of go in and you could reset your front building line, and you could put the accessory structure in front of your the house, and then all of a sudden that's kind of the primary structure.
That happened to me, and I got in a shitload of trouble for it. Never lived it into that.
Yeah, I can imagine. So
I'll tell you,
that's
this-
so that is, I think that deleting this sentence is getting rid of somewhat of a loophole, and I think it would probably be better for
Which criteria specifically is it talking about? Just the one in
and
E?
not meeting this criteria. This criteria would probably be referring to paragraph E.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Knowledge of
What
building.
would be the effect of just striking not meeting this criteria?
You don't need it. What is it telling you?
Then you're just saying that it has to meet the setback.
And
Is that
accessory
the-
structures generally don't have.
So that would be redundant and would go against
It'd be contradictory.
would go against paragraph A, paragraph,
Yeah.
Behind
Yeah,
the front building.
yeah, so,
I don't see that this does us any good.
No, I'm sorry, say that
This
again?
sentence doesn't do us any good.
Not really.
Got the BZA.
because in the case of the appeal, there was enough land that the applicant was able to put it someplace that still met the setback requirements, and so it still acted like a primary structure, and so.
Right.
You know, we're trying to make this cookie cutter, and in probably 80% of what we have in Lansing, it is cookie cutter. But there's a lot of us that it's not. Where I live, it's 2-acre lot, 1 to 2 acre lots. And even now, as my fifth wheel is about 1 foot in front of the house, so technically I am illegal. You could come and ticket.
I can see it from.
Why
the
are you
street.
telling me
Yeah.
these things?
Yeah, really.
I don't need to know
I thought
this.
it only had to be 17 feet back.
Oh, by the way, I have some dead trees in the back too, so you can
Oh,
go take
yeah,
care of
that's
that. It's part of the 100 that I have. I mean, see, the judgment call, the flexibility, you need to have that.
Right.
I thought you could park a camper in the front yard.
You can, as long as it's 14 feet away from the
14, 17.
from the roadway. So
You know,
But
Yeah, I
I'm
know,
making
I
a
know.
point here.
Yeah.
I am making a point.
yeah.
I got plenty of room, but it's not normal room.
Yeah.
And I think you'd agree, it's attractive when you look at it. The whole
Of
place
course
is
it is.
attractive.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
He's my neighbor.
Okay, so I knew we were going to spend some time on this. 40 minutes later, do we have a general consensus on whether or not staff should prepare? Well, I should prepare a text amendment based off of this to try to remove
Well, I think we're,
either this, or at least you guys can,
I think we're in agreement to get rid of that sentence.
Yeah.
Now, whether we want to go further and say anything about ag panels or not ag panels or acreage,
Where do you
we
get
haven't
the
come
ag
to.
panels at? I don't see ag panels here at all.
Well, this is
Agricultural.
Compatible, the compatible.
architectural styles and details. That's where we
If you
get
leave
that.
out ag panels, I
So-
won't be for that.
When I see that architectural details, you know what that makes me think? That makes me think that you want my accessory building, whether it's a barn or garage or whatever, to look exactly like my house as far as the roof pitch, the siding,
He did.
everything. And I don't agree with that.
That could be an interpretation. That's not where we have gone with it, but that could be an interpretation. I see I see how yes, I see that in that interpretation. It's
Brian,
not how
I wanna
we.
ask-
we
I wanna ask Brian.
Materials compatible with.
I want to ask
the
Brian a
principal
question because he's on the BZA.
Okay.
If we took that paragraph off and that had not been in there that
If that
night,
sentence had been, it wouldn't have been in there.
would you have said that it's not compatible and they're not?
We would not have been, that was the sentence that,
You would have agreed, had said that the staff is correct,
yes.
Oh, man.
that it is not
But,
compatible.
but I still would have brought up the same issue.
Yeah,
The issue,
How
I
do you
think, so there's
decide?
there's two things in here, because with regard to that, the historical trend of the planning office has been to deny ag panel.
Yeah.
So that having been the historical record, there wouldn't have been anything to go against that necessarily. I think we do, personally, I do think we need to look in and put some codification into the regulation. If we don't want ag panel in the city, I'm fine with that. But let's just say it.
yeah.
If we are okay with it, then what are the criteria that somebody has to meet to be able to use it? I think that's the two things we need to
I
do.
don't think you should list ag panel. It should be accepted like any other building structure, as long as it is of quality.
I think that the way it's written, you strike that last sentence, I think you've got that, I think you've got the ability to interpret it that way. I think the way it's written, you can interpret it that way.
And if
It's just
anybody
we've not
doesn't
been
like-
interpreting that way.
If you go to 20th Street and Metropolitan Avenue,
Yep.
right in there, they, almost 15 years ago, they put a Butler building behind this cheap wooden house. The Butler building looks a whole lot better even today.
Than the house, you mean?
And the house just looks nice.
So I think, I mean, that's really the crux of this, is we have been operating off of a interpreted prohibition against ag panel buildings inside the city limits. That's how we've been operating. We've been operating off that interpretation. If, I don't think this, the way it's written, is so explicit to say that that should be banned. But if that's our intention, is to ban it, we should be explicit with it. If it's not, we need to open up our interpretation to allow it within the way that the regulation is written. And I'm good either way.
Let's make that discussion, let's make turn our discussion to whether or not we like ag panel.
I think that's the core of this whole issue.
Because I don't think you can say it has to be quality, because that's a judgment call. If it was,
Well,
you asked me, it was-
I think we have codes to cover that. I think quality is better to evaluate than aesthetic.
Okay, but then, so,
I think there are things,
Utilize
I think there are
the eyes of the
things such
beholder.
as the thickness of the panels, in terms of the millimeter thickness of the panels. That would be something that's an objective standard that could be used. Whether it's the tin stuff that you can kick and punch a hole right through with your foot, or if it's of substance of a substance. I'm just trying to help
We
out,
use
figure
the
out a way
word
to get something that is
substantial then.
concrete.
And
Yeah.
I think
You could say is, yeah, if you're gonna meet with this criteria, if these are the type of materials you're using, yes. If you're using lesser materials, no. Okay.
And if it's visible from the street, that might be different than if it's not. Because I don't think this one is it? The one that
no.
went to the
No,
zoning
no,
board? You
it's-
And
can't
it's
see it
also,
from the
what,
street.
6 or 8 acres?
7 some odd.
Seven.
I have no problem with letting them use ag panel for that, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't want it in my next door neighbor's backyard.
I agree.
I have a funny feeling that this is a very old one, when we didn't have good-looking ag panels. When we did have just melded and
Sears
formed
and
metal.
Roebuck.
It could be.
No? I'm wondering about it.
Yeah, I
It
think
could be.
everything's been improved so much over the last 20
Right.
years. You can't, can't think of the word I want to use, but you can't call it an ag panel and just say, no, absolutely not, because they look so much better and they're very nice. In fact, most of them look better than a house with siding on it with batten board that people don't keep up and they don't paint. So,
Yeah.
I feel it should be open to being used, as long as it's, colored, painted, nice looking,
Quality.
and quality, yeah.
You can
Okay,
figure that out.
quality,
You know?
quality, yeah.
Well, I don't
So
think it needs to be
quality is,
Rocket science.
Compatible with quality. You can interpret that, can't you?
You know,
Sure you can.
I wonder if there's a metal standard
Yes.
today for metal building.
There are metal panel faces.
So let me ask you this, hypothetically, if I came to you and I wanted to build a house,
Yes.
okay? I'm gonna build a slab house,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna buy a Morton building as my outer structure and finish it off as a house. People call it a barn dominium.
Right.
When they come to finance one with me, that's what we call it.
Right, yep.
But it's a
Understood.
slab house.
Yep.
And the only difference between it and a regular structure is they're using trusses,
Yep,
and it's got metal siding.
yep.
What's the difference?
Does it have posts inside or is it frame?
No,
No, it's
So
gonna have
that's-
posts. There's gonna be a barn structure all around, and they're gonna finish it out inside with sheetrock and just like a normal house.
so
Building one.
historically, my office has said that barn dominiums don't fit within Lansing. I think that has come down from, and it's been a bit since we've dealt with this question. So I'm reaching back a little bit to try to figure that out, to remember. And I think that came from my predecessor. I know that at least. Depending on context of the house, context of the lot, we could say yes. We could also say no.
Have you been asked?
Recently, no. I'm not aware. Okay, let me backtrack. I am not aware of anybody asking for a barn dominium in Lansing in the recent past. And I will go back about a year and a half, 2 years for that. It could have been requested, but I'm not aware of it, and nobody pushed it if it was. So I know that tiny homes, and I think barn dominiums really came into vogue, 10 years ago, something like that. And I think that it became a talking point for the city as a whole. And I think that at that point, I know tiny homes were kind of discouraged at that point. I don't remember what
They're not-
about.
They don't have tin siding. I mean,
Well,
they
don't.
yes, but sorry, I remember how tiny homes ended. I don't remember how the question of the barn dominium ended.
So barn dominiums are acceptable to Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae
Yeah,
as far as doing a loan.
sure.
So therefore, you should be able to build it wherever your lot size allows.
Well, if
So
I mean,
so
if
if
somebody
that's
came to you-
if that's the criteria, then let's also talk about changing our regulations to allow fourplexes anywhere in the city in a residential
yeah,
district.
and if
That has to be zoned correctly, though.
But Freddie and Fannie say you
Has
can
to be zoned.
correct. But so then let's open up the books and
Well,
we
if-
can.
Okay, let's don't get
if we-
squirreled on
if we-
this,
Okay.
okay?
If we
Okay.
can't enforce if we can't look at HOA requirements, then why are we looking at Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac?
I'm
Okay.
just using it as a point.
Yeah,
that If
yeah.
somebody came, so if I came in and I told you I wanted to build a house,
Yep.
are you gonna ask me
Well,
what, if I'm gonna frame it? What are the questions you're gonna ask me for my building permit?
that's
It's been 30 years since I got one at the county, so.
sure. We would say, hey, you need to go get stamp plans. So engineered stamp plans, submit it, permits.lansingks.org. Most of the time, we're not sitting down talking with folks about the specific details of their house, which is going to lead into our next topic of conversation. Again, I don't. Depending context would matter in this situation. I know if it is in the middle of the Maples, Dan would probably come to me and say, "Hey, look, this is what's going on. The person wants to build a metal building," and we'd have the conversation at that point.
And there's also the building code to look at. It may or may not allow.
It may.
Well,
I don't want to. I don't want.
Aluminium.
Well, it's not that. It's the building code talks about the way it's built, and it does say there are exceptions that can be made, but you have to have an engineer to prove that it's equitable or equal and so forth.
Yeah.
But it's just more complicated than
Yeah.
we have to follow building codes as well as zoning codes.
Correct. Although, yes. So,
Well, let's
that's.
decide.
I will. I have a couple of things here, but let me get some clarification, and when I bring this.
I'm
As a
just thinking
text amendment-
hypothetical.
No, it's a good question. I should have had the answer to that question right now. I don't. So let me get that question.
Because if
that
somebody's
answer.
built one in town and then you come back and tell somebody else they can't put up a nice
So I don't think
Someone's
there
a
are.
regard.
structure, I don't know. You know, you just gotta,
There might be, I don't know.
yeah, see, that's another thing. You
Well,
have-
can we agree, is there consensus that Josh should bring back an amendment to the text and eliminate that last sentence?
Yes,
Yes.
and maybe put quality in there.
Well,
somewhere.
that's my next question. Is there any consensus that we should,
Quality
in
material.
some instances or all instances, that we don't allow barn panel, whatever, ag panels? Am I saying that right?
Yes. I might have a clarification. So
Okay,
just-
go ahead.
No, let me see what the kind of the
I
group
mean-
says about that.
I think.
I don't agree with not allowing ag panels.
I think in some circumstances we should. Is that what you
Okay.
think, Brian?
Okay.
Ginger?
I think when it's in the backyard of,
But then sometimes no.
yeah,
It's
sometimes
next
no.
to the
Um,
house.
Okay.
I'm fine with removing that one.
Well, no, now we're talking about ag panels. Are there
I have no
cases-
problem with them. They've
in all cases?
fancied them all up, they look really good.
Nowhere, okay.
What's your question on ag panels?
The second one is there?
Should we allow ag panels?
Should we allow ag,
Should we limit-
should we limit them in some cases or all cases? At least,
I don't think we should eliminate them all, in all cases.
but are there cases like small lots and so forth that you would say that they shouldn't be?
We think a little more definition of it, ag panel.
Well,
What
you.
the hell is an ag panel?
Yeah, well, I guess you'd have to.
With-
You need a lawyer to tell you what an ag panel is.
Well,
Well, the builder.
points we'll take it. Point.
So how do you feel about that issue? Should that be?
I don't think you should deny ag panels, but
Right.
what is an ag panel?
I
A
can
piece
read-
of, a piece of tin in somebody's backyard.
Okay, let me rephrase the question so we can get out of this. If you believe that we should in no case ever disallow an ag panel, raise your hand.
Never disallow it.
Never just.
Never disallow.
That's
And-
true with
and
wood, too.
should we always allow
Allow.
ag panels, no matter
Always.
what? In all, you don't believe that?
I agree.
Okay, raise your
There
hand.
should be, there should always be exceptions.
Well,
Well,
then we're never gonna get out of this. I'm gonna ask it one more time, but I'm gonna ask you, this is a simple question. Do you think that in every situation, if a guy comes in and wants to use ag panels or something like that, in no matter what the circumstances, he should be allowed to do it? Raise your hand, please.
Yes.
There's one.
Yeah, I'm
I
going
believe
for
our
it.
default should
every
be yes,
time?
with exceptions for quality.
no, there's, it
Right, quality.
depends.
Yeah.
It's-
Okay.
Well,
okay.
then-
So
no,
then,
that's not the
hey,
question.
But-
so
but I
Jerry,
think
Jerry,
we're
Jerry,
getting
let,
back
let me
with
try
the
to let me try to
That's,
I think we
let me try to
Well,
fit.
we can come in between.
But what you're doing is, what you're describing, I would agree with wood, or any kind of construction,
You mean there-
concrete
You
construction.
mean there are times that you think wood should not be allowed?
Absolutely, depending upon the type of wood. You just gave an example.
Well, the
I'm gonna put up this plywood, and I'm gonna stain it, and I'm gonna live with it.
Boy, we're gonna define this.
Okay, time. Okay. So before we get into that, Jerry.
Building code.
Okay, before we get too far into that, I guess I don't know. It's 51 minutes on this. Let me bring in a text amendment that would, it'll give us a starting point. And let's all remember that. It's going to give us a starting point to start the conversation. I might even bring in something that allows a couple of different options, and then you guys plug and play, right? We want option A, we want option B, and then we move on, right? So we might say yes to all ag panel, qualified yes to ag panel, outright no. Okay? Would that
Well,
that
it's
suffice
still-
for the conversation?
It still has to be compatible with the principal structure.
Yes, potentially.
Potential.
So we can
Yes,
allow
yes,
ag
yes, yes.
panels, but if it's not compatible according to Josh,
Yeah, I don't know.
Listen,
Well, you don't want a hot paint barn
The
and
rule still says that.
Can you drop the ag and put
round
metal,
house.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
metal building as opposed
Metal
to ag
buildings?
panel?
well,
we already allow, that's the thing, we already allow metal buildings.
Oh, you
I
do?
don't care about the metal.
You're
I
talking-
care about the architectural detail of the style of the ag panel raised profile.
What's the difference between that and batten board?
There's a world of difference in that in terms of architectural detail and style.
It looks the same.
It doesn't, but I would disagree with that. And so board and batten is a longstanding residential style
That's the only thing I mess with.
architectural detail of how you construct a building. Ag panel is not. Ag panel has traditionally been used, that profile has been used primarily in agricultural uses, on buildings out in a barn, or for a barn, out in the field, on a farm. So that's
Okay.
where I would
Josh is going to
disagree.
bring us some options. He's going to advertise a public hearing, and we can debate it for 3 hours next month.
Okay.
There you go.
Not in July. Well,
not gonna-
maybe in July. I don't know if we can meet that. Either July or August.
Sometime in the future.
Okay, so we'll do that. There have been a couple of questions raised recently surrounding regulations on where and how many buildings can be allowed on a lot. Typically, you have one building per lot with an accessory structure. We don't. A lot of cities have that regulated. And what are your thoughts on bringing that in? I need to do significant more research on that before I would.
Do we have a problem?
It gets weird, especially with multifamily residential.
It also gets weird when they've got 2 or 3 sheds, little small sheds.
They're running
Right. Well, that we have that.
This
Yeah.
already
So
says limited to one.
yes. So there is that. But when you have 2 primaries, like you have so there's a couple of questions that's been bothering me for a while. A couple of questions have arisen recently that I just wanted to address that. And then this one is fairly recent. We don't actually have any regulations on how buildings should orient to residential buildings should orient to the roadways. There's a proposal on the table from a resident saying that they would like to have their house not face the front door, not face the roadway. It's generally speaking my office's opinion that we don't allow that, but I don't have that codified. So there's certain districts that would allow that. The way I interpret the regulations, we do have it in there, but not specifically written.
Well, when
as
you
such.
get small lots, you may have some cases where there's a side door to go to the front of the house.
That's true.
Small lots, that's going to be a problem, because even the ones that they're building, there's a garage and this little teeny area here where there's a door. Well, what if they put it further back and a
Outside.
sidewalk? Yeah.
That's true.
That might be okay.
I would think it would be worth probably floating that past EMS, Emergency Services, Fire Department, and the police.
No.
what their thoughts are too, because I think having an obstructed front door, I think might be a challenge.
And another problem we have, when the front door is not facing the required area that people have to take care of, which we have here on the 4H Road, those houses in Stonecrest, there's a block of 2 blocks. They are responsible for mowing that, even though they have absolutely nothing to do with it, and it's not in their front door. It has been very contentious. When I was on the council, it was contentious, and I personally would never agree to anything where you are actually responsible. Suddenly you're responsible for this over here. I've got to mow this, and that's what happened on Stonecrest here. The houses that are sideways to the lot, to the street, they are required to do the mowing, even though their door is facing one of the streets.
Is it on their property?
Do they own?
Well, no, they've got a sidewalk in between it, but it doesn't make any difference. The city has required the people
Well, on a
that live
corner
there to
lot,
mow it.
on a corner lot, you gotta mow the grass on
No,
both
it's on
sides.
their property.
I am not kidding you. We had a gentleman there who ended up with cancer, and it was like pulling teeth to get the city to please mow that one because he can no longer do that. And then when he died, it was the responsibility of the family again. I'm not kidding you. I've always found that really
But if
rotten.
it's your property, you have to
But-
mow it.
But you're not doing anything. You can't put a chair out there.
But it
Sure you
is,
can.
It doesn't matter, it's still your property.
You think we can.
But a corner lot, I mean, that's,
It's not a corner lot.
how can they
These are
have,
running equal to 4H Road. Before you get to the church, all of those houses are responsible for the grass growing, even where the sidewalk is. They are responsible for that piece of property.
is it a case where the house, it's backs up to a collector street or whatever, and it faces the
No,
other
it
way?
does not.
I don't. can't
Please
follow.
write down there
I
and
can't
look at that.
picture this.
But
Yeah.
if
Sure what you're
if
talking about.
the roadway adjacent to your property is your responsibility to maintain. In front of my curb, I have to mow that. If there's a tree that dies, I have to cut that down.
Are you on a corner?
No, and on the corner, my neighbor on the corner has that 2 times on both sides. He has to maintain that.
Well, I
That's
found
true
this
everywhere in the
extremely
city.
weird. It's the only place we have this problem. Thank goodness.
It sounds like a maintenance
Well-
compliance problem, not a
Yep.
zoning requirement.
On a mowing question, why doesn't the city maintain out on the highway where the sign coming into Lansing is? Why does the Kiwanis Club have to mow that?
Oh, that was a volunteer deal with the sign. Everybody who has a sign up there gets a month.
I'm just curious.
That's
Yeah, I know a lot about that sign. My husband
that's
built that thing.
that's
Take it down.
It'd be nice
things
if the
that are
city would
unexpected.
maintain it. Would be nice.
Nancy, let me also work on that answer to that question as well.
Okay,
I have
in your
zero,
spare time.
I have zero comprehension of why the city doesn't take care of that, other than the fact that it's not our land and it's,
Well, when the prisoners used to mow for us, we got a lot of mowing done.
I'm
And it
sure,
looked really, really nice.
I'm sure that it, yes. Okay.
Speaking of mowing, there was a
Oh.
complaint, I mean, not that I put all that much stock in anonymous Facebook complaints, but someone complained that along Mary, there was beautiful native grass
Oh, yes,
growing,
it
and
was.
it's been mowed. And
Okay,
my
okay.
comment was, it has
All
to
right,
be mowed.
all right, okay.
sometime.
Let's bring, mowing has, I don't think anything to do with our UDO and the scope of
No,
the planning
no.
commission.
But it was
Plus,
an
that
yeah.
study session.
Oh, goodness.
So far, I think what we've got out of this is we're going to strike that last sentence out of
Yes.
that.
Yes.
You're going to come back to us with
Ideas.
proposals on different ways ag panel and metal buildings might be incorporated into the regulation.
Yes, and then potentially, if you guys, I know that it is now 8 o'clock, and I just threw the one lots and then the frontage requirements at you. Yes, or no, don't think that it needs to, you guys.
Well, let's think about that.
Say it again.
Say it again.
So the one primary building per lot,
And one accessory.
and then one accessory, especially in residential districts, and then also.
Orientation.
Yeah, the orientation of a house to the front yard
I'm assuming we're gonna discuss this.
We can absolutely discuss it.
Do you currently interpret it as only one accessory structure?
Yeah, well, that's not interpretation. That's codified right there.
Okay.
It's in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's up a little bit.
If everybody
here.
would eventually Google ag panels, and you'll get it, you can educate yourself on it. It's interesting.
Okay.
No lot shall
Were there
contain
anything
more
in
than one
definitions you
accessory
wanted to bring
building.
up
Yeah.
tonight?
That's primary structure would be kind of that, and then front,
Right.
residential facade, building facade, what
That would be under definition.
requires and what that would allow. So that's kind of it. Sorry, I was not expecting to hear somebody in the foyer.
I have a question.
Yes.
You had written us an email about not discussing HOAs outside of study sessions or public meetings. Are we willing to talk about that?
So I think my email was more along the lines of open meeting and breaking open meeting regulations potentially by having via email there's a technical term, but a continuous meeting, multiple meeting through email
If we
essentially.
discuss it at a forum like this.
Yes, completely fine.
And I don't want to make an interpretation.
Serialized
of the
meeting.
council, but I think that they denied the one not because it was in violation of the HOA, but because the neighbors objected and said it had an impact on their value.
No problem.
And the city attorney kept trying to get us to believe that we're enforcing
Oh,
HOAs.
yes, I understand now. That's true. It
But that's
wasn't.
that issue.
Well,
Yes.
and we said we could discuss here long-term rental,
Yep.
Yes.
and we haven't.
I would say that there's a definition of long-term by absence of, by the fact that there is short-term rental, which says 30 days or under, and then so anything over would be long-term. But if you would like me to add short-term and long-term to the definitions section of Article 9, I definitely
Well, we don't disallow rentals.
no.
So if you're not meeting that criteria, you're renting the property. What if somebody rents it for 6 months and gets transferred, gets sick, or dies or something? I
Well, they
don't
have a
know.
lease, they've signed a lease,
Yeah.
that's a contract issue,
Well, that's
not
between
a,
them.
not
Yeah,
a
I
city
don't-
issue,
I
I
don't
would
think
think.
we need to
Yeah.
be involved in that.
I bet
But I do think that it might behoove Lansing to have some more oversight of rental properties and have a place where people can go who have an issue with a rental property.
Do we have?
I do.
Do we register rental properties?
That's a problem.
Currently, no.
That'd be something you have to have your council members.
And
The
Chippewa
city
is one
council,
in
the city
requirement.
council has not directed, but it has been discussed before the city council to have a rental registration, and the council was largely supportive of that. Right now, we are facing manpower issues in standing that up, honestly and truly.
Can't really see it.
So it would be nice, but if we had that, we would also right now have maybe some other things as well that are.
I know, they said at the last city council meeting that they had enough work for 2 code enforcement
Yeah.
officers, and
Especially in the summer.
they only have 1.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Anybody
This
else
is
want-
this has been a fantastic conversation. I appreciate it. I appreciate the quality, the quality of the conversation, the questions, the directive.
I do have one thing in regard to what we were just talking about, how the city council overrode what we had passed.
Yes, I'm only guessing that was what their
Right.
thought process.
So when we were discussing all that, and the reason that I made the motion was because I felt like we were not being fair to all applicants, because if the gentleman in the HOA, the person that owned that house, if they were going to meet all of the requirements that the city required, then how could we treat him differently than we treated the other two that we approved. That was my thought process on that.
Well, I think it would be the same way that I'm gonna guess the city council thought, because in that particular case, there was strong neighborhood opposition expressing that it would impact. I mean, that is a criteria in the ordinance. And if we could say, yeah, you object, but we don't agree with that. But if you do agree with it, then you would have every right to deny it. You did.
That was just my thought.
And there was approval, just short-term approval had been given by the HOA.
Right. For,
Just short-term approval
Yeah,
through
right,
July.
during the
Right.
World
FIFA.
Cup.
I bet there's no FIFA fans that are renting anywhere in Lebanon.
Probably not.
Anyway, that was just my thought.
Well,
process
yeah,
on
There
that.
might be
So-
fees.
Think you'd be
Whole family
surprised.
can come.
If nobody else has anything, let's go home.
Let's go home.